people that couldn't get on the call, if they want to check in and see what we talked about later, can do it. Yeah, so Marta, why don't you introduce yourself and say a little bit about why you're into native gardening?
Okay, hello everyone. New to the committee this year. Um, I'm always excited when we have new things going on, so that's kind of what inspired me to join the committee with our new location at Washburn University. I have some connections with Washburn, and so I'm very excited about that. Um, Background, many years ago, because I've been in Master Gardeners a long time, I was involved with the original um, native plant garden. So back in working with Steve Page and
Yeah,
um, back in the day. So I'm excited to get back into working in a garden because I haven't really worked in a garden committee for many years. So I'm excited to do that.
fantastic. So, Tammy, you want to go next?
Sure. I wanted to make sure I took the silence off. I am new to the native plant garden this year myself. Actually, I was devastated when I heard about the need to move from its original location across from the perennial garden. Um, and I had been involved in that for a few years, and I knew more about perennials than I did about the native plant garden. But it was the need to change and find a new location. And then this last summer, I decided that was the best time to jump on board. So I got on board helping to water um, all of the plants up on the patio that's now got a humongous snow mound on it. But anyway, I know I have a lot to learn about native plants. I thought I knew a little bit about perennials and annuals until you start working in the greenhouse, or you know how it is. I mean, 5 years ago, Sharon, I can't believe we started this class of 10 together, and um, I I thought I knew some things, but after those classes were over, I thought I've got a whole lot to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that there's a new opportunity for the native plant garden and just how it will impact the community, maybe the city, when its location at Washburn. And um, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So, Diana, tell us about yourself and why you're into native plant gardening.
Well, I lived near the garden at Cedar Crest and I loved going over there to work. And I was very disappointed they asked us to move. I did not like that. And so I thought, fine, I will still work and help. I don't know how long I've been a master gardener. I've always enjoyed gardening and I love native plants. Um, my husband has a hard time with them. They tend to take over, and he doesn't like the wild look, which I like. And so it's like, anyway, so I'm anxious to get Washburn University set up, and it should be fun.
All right. Barb, you want to go next?
Sure, Barb Leeper here. Um, I have worked on the native garden and the perennial garden out at Cedar Crest for years and years. That's just been my little baby there, and I was sorry to see it all, fall apart. But I helped Kevin map out our new place at Washburn, and then from the pictures where they put the new sidewalk in, it's like we've got to do some remapping out there now, don't we?
Yeah, a
Uh,
little bit. A little
but
bit, yeah.
Oh, we live in the country, and I have so many gardens, and they're perennial, and the natives, and I have to agree, boy, they sure spread. And you have to continually try to keep them in control. But I'm looking forward to what we got going at Washburn, and it'll be a fun group.
For sure. Carrie, you want to go next?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carrie Reardon, and I have been on the Native Plant Garden Committee since I became a master gardener during COVID. And I don't get to volunteer with it as much as I would like to because I still work full time. But I love this group. I love native plants. And I think it's really exciting. Even though we were super bummed and really disappointed when we had to move the garden, I think the new Washburn location is going to give us so much more exposure and help us educate a lot more people than maybe we were able to do when it was at Cedar Crest, especially with the partnership with the biology department at Washburn. We're going to be exposing a lot of younger people to the value and beauty of native plants, and that's really exciting.
All right. Sharon, number 2, you want to go next?
Hello, I'm new to this committee also. I am just curious about learning more about native plants. I have gardens around my home, but I just plant what I like, but they're not necessarily native, but to encourage pollinators and things like that. I just want to learn more. I know I agree with Tammy. You think you go through those classes and have so much information, but every year I think about what I learned in 2024 and here we are in 2025. I'm just ready to learn some more. So thank you for letting me join your committee.
Mick, how about you?
Good morning. So I'm Mick Delfelder. This will be my first full year as an official master gardener. I was in the class in 2023. Prior to becoming a master gardener, I was a longtime member of the Kansas Native Plant Society and a board member. So that organization really opened my eyes to the importance of native plants, and with the disappearance of in eastern Kansas and through the Midwest of the tallgrass prairie ecosystem, and then as you get further west, the mixed grass and the shortgrass regions, when you have 96 to 99% of an ecosystem disappear, you also have potentially 96 to 99% of the species that depend on that ecosystem, the insects, the birds, and so native plant gardens and using native plants in your landscape is a way to help combat the loss of the insects and the birds and everything else that relies on that. So I'm excited to see a new garden go in, and I agree with everybody that says, this is a good opportunity for education of, the younger people potentially on campus, but also staff members and faculty as well on campus. So it should be exciting. I have a big native garden here in my yard we affectionately call the jungle. It looks great through about June or July, and then it just takes off. And, I've learned a lot the last 10 years since I've had the garden in, and learned a lot about what works well where, what not to plant in a backyard in town. Carrie says it goes feral. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So looking forward to this year and getting some plants in the ground over at Washburn.
All right. Judy, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Judy Schultz. I'm probably the oldest member here. I've been a member of the native plant since I joined Master Gardeners. I always like being outside. I would always go for a walk either before or after our meetings when we were over at the governor's mansion. So that's going to be different. But like you said, everything ends, but we have a new beginning. So I'm really anxious to help out and get our new place started.
All right. Lynette, you want to go next? Oh, here. You got to unmute, Lynette.
Did I do it?
There you go.
Okay. I have been a master gardener, I think, for 20 years. So I have emeritus status and I take full advantage of that. I kind of work on the things that I enjoy and when I want to do it. And COVID kind of threw me for a loop, so I have not been as much of a participant as I was in years past. I worked at the perennial gardens across the way, so I would look over and see what a different garden it was on the other side. And for me, I think I just like the proximity of this garden because working out at Lake Shawnee, it's quite a trek to go out there. So I'm trying to find gardens that are closer for me to work on. My husband worked at Washburn for 42 years, and I have friends who work at the law school, so I have an attachment to Washburn. So that's my interest, and what I learn along the way is just fine.
All right. Jolene, our newest master gardener, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I would say that most of all, I'm trying to assimilate all the reading material that I had last year and try to learn. But I'm I'm new to Kansas, so this is what did I say in my bio? You're not in California anymore. And so I am learning an awful lot. It's incredibly interesting to see the difference and the different types of plants and the different types of the ways of doing things. So I have a lot to learn. I was very well educated in California. I did a lot of um, I did almost all of my own gardening. I had a large site in California, but I did a lot of approvals for homes and landscape plans and house plans. So I have a lot of experience with that. I love the maintenance part of it. I like to get I like to get down into the dirt and do stuff. So that's my whole thing. I really like caring for the plants. I'm really interested in learning about the native Kansas plants. That's going to be great. And what Mick was saying, that that is impressive to me about how much he knows. I think that'll be nice to meet him. So I'm anxious to do this. I'm glad it's a brand new start. I think that really helps.
All right. Well, welcome to our committee, Jolene. And last but not least, Ed Shawnee County. What's up with you?
Not a whole lot. I've been a master gardener for 3 years, I think. Something like that. I've always been on this committee and I like it. It's fun. And I live right down from where it used to be, so it was really convenient. But I enjoy learning about the native plants and doing stuff. Keeps me outside. Anything that keeps me outside, I'm happy about. So that's about it.
All right. Okay, let me share screen here and we can start running through this agenda. We got plenty to cover today. So, anyway, welcome everyone. I'm really excited about the new people we're having on the committee this year. And, as many of you have said, the fact that, I feel like an artist with a blank canvas, with our new location. It's like we have been able to design the garden from the ground up, and I think it's really going to be fun and exciting to see it as it takes shape. Um, so I I think you all know that the new site is located over just west of the Dole Hall, which is the southeast corner of Washburn campus. Some of you have already been over there and helped do a little work over there. Um, but anyway, um, we were hoping that we could get in there and start getting some work done to get it prepared to plant some stuff in the spring. And then, one thing or another kind of delayed things for us. But the one thing we were really waiting on before we could get in there to, get boots on the ground was uh, the sidewalk that goes through the garden, which I got to say, I mean, you know, a number of you are, involved with Washburn, and I just got to say, what a great partner they have been. They've been so welcoming. When we first approached them about the possibility of relocating our garden over there, it's like they were so welcoming. The people from the facilities, services people, the biology department, they were all just really excited to have us and have, you know, uh, I mean, for those of you that were involved with the old garden where we were partnering with Cedar Crest, it's like, you know, whenever you're dealing with the government, sometimes it can be a challenge. And they were, kind of a challenging partner to work with at times. And it's just been night and day with Washburn. They have been just so helpful. And so that's which leads me up to the sidewalk. We were, Lane and I were trying to figure out how are we going to get the money to pay for this sidewalk. If we would have had to pony up the dough for it, it probably would have like blown our entire master gardener budget for a year. But when we talked to Washburn, they, um, Eric, who, by the way, was a guy that was in my master gardener class, who's the head of facilities over there, you know, he said, well, let me do a little looking around here. And I think maybe we can pull together the funds and the labor to get that sidewalk done. So they completely, did the whole thing for us. It's just like, oh my God, what that just blows me away. That just that much of it that they did. But so the sidewalk is done. The facilities came over there and removed some soil around the perimeter of the garden where so we to accommodate the mulch that we're going to add to the garden. So really, we were just waiting for the concrete to set up, and then we got a little bit of snow here, which has kind of, set us back a little. We got to wait for this snow to melt off, and then for the ground to dry up over there before we can get in to start the next phase of our work, which is um, going to be, well, here, I'll jump into that in a minute. So, but we have the, uh, we got a load of topsoil donated, and then we have all the soil that they removed that has some big clumps of turf in there, but there's enough soil there that we can use some of that to put down initially and then cover that with the really nice topsoil that we got donated. Um, Wellnut said that they would donate some wood chips for us to use to mulch the garden, but I've been having a hard time coordinating with them. But Lane said if we needed to, we could probably purchase some mulch. And I contacted Greenpoint yesterday. They sell wood chips by the ton. So they told me $25 a ton, and I'm waiting to hear back from them on what to get a estimate of what it would cost to get a big truckload delivered from them. So that's what we need to get that over there on the ground before we can do our mulching. Some of us have been saving cardboard because that's the plan is once we get our topsoil put down and spread out, then we'll put down that cardboard, put our wood chip mulch over that, and then um, we'll be able to plant into that in the spring. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are on the ground over there. Um, we've got up on the patio behind the greenhouse, we've got the few plants that we're able to rescue from the old garden. We've got, oh my gosh, at least a couple dozen species of wildflowers that we're starting in some little mini greenhouses back there. Some of them, so I guess maybe I kind of jumped the gun a little bit when we started putting our mini greenhouses together, which was like about the end of October, because some of this stuff already started germinating, which I don't, uh, it's supposed to go through this period of cold stratification. I don't know how that was enough cold weather for some of this stuff to start germinating, but it did. And so we've got, oh gosh, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 flats of 6 packs of plants in the greenhouse, and then another couple flats of 4-inch pots with some Maximilian sunflowers growing in the greenhouse right now. And eventually, uh, we'll have a few other things that are out under that blanket of snow on the patio that will want to pot up. And then, of course, as those grow, we'll need to transplant them into 4-inch pots. And then eventually, um, and so those all need to be watered and cared for and then transplanted. And then here, early spring, we should be able to start hardening them off. And which that brings me to the what I was telling Ed about the PVC pipe, because like Barb knows, before when we scribed out the border of the garden, uh, we use this method where you got to do some measurements, then you use a string line to scribe out that arc, uh, and which was a rather time consuming and not really as accurate maybe as we wanted. So what I'm going to do now that we've got the sidewalk in place, we know that the point just beyond the top of the arc of that sidewalk is going to be the center of the back of the garden, and we know where the corners are going to be. So what I'm going to do is just get a bunch of 1/2-inch PVC pipe and connect that together and then stake it at those 2 points, and that'll make our curve. And then we can paint that and then flip it over and paint the other half to mark out where the back border of the garden is going to be. And then I'm going to save that PVC pipe, and then we can use that to make like a little frame where we can build a temporary cold frame in the where we have those plants on the patio, and then all this then because we'll need to start moving stuff out of the greenhouse probably before our final frost date, so we can put everything in that cold frame out there until the weather warms up. But yeah, so any questions about what I covered so far? All right. So the like I said, once things dry up over there, we need to go over and mark out that the perimeter, and then we saved. So if you were ever out at the old garden, we had these big limestone blocks that were there that marked out the border of the garden. And so when we had to leave out there, um, we we snagged all of those stones and stored them over at Ed's house, and then eventually we hauled them all over here, and so they're on site over there right now. So I think we may have enough of those to do the entire border. If not, we'll find, we'll scrounge up enough stone to complete the whole border there. But so that's kind of the next thing is put that border down. Then we'll want to spread that topsoil out. So I need to touch base with Lane and have him get a hold of Eric, because they have a skid steer, a little bobcat that they can bring over there. And I'm hoping we can coordinate with them where they can scoop up uh, that soil and then drop it inside the garden where the 3 beds will be, and to save us a little work of moving that soil from one place to the other. If they can do that, then all we got to do is get in there and just rake it out, you know. Um, and then, of course, the next thing is going to be getting down the cardboard and the wood chips, and um, so. But by the time we get ready to do that, all of those materials should be on the ground over there. And so, like I said in my um, outline here, we want to get in there as soon as the soil is dry to mark off that edge, and then we can start installing that border, and then we'll coordinate with those guys to move that topsoil, get it spread out, get her all mulched, and then hopefully, we can get that done before spring gets here, and to give that cardboard a little time to break down and the mulch to settle, and so on. And then we should be ready to start planting some stuff into there in the spring. We're going to need to get to purchase some plants because, so a perfect example is the serviceberry tree that is going to be kind of the centerpiece, the focal point of the planting. And so the tree form of serviceberry, what is Amelanchier arborea, that's our native serviceberry. But and so we wanted to get a plant that had some size to it, right? We don't want to plant like a little bare root plant or just a little 1 gallon, whip in there and wait 10 years for it to get some size to it. So we were trying to find, at least like a 5 gallon size plant. Well, I'll tell you guys, it's impossible. The one place that I found that actually had like 3 gallon size plants is like a nursery like in Pennsylvania or somewhere where they'd have to ship it here. So I kept searching around. Finally, I got a hold of Cameron out at Skinner's, and he said, yeah, to find that particular plant, that's probably about the best you're going to be able to do. But they, out at Skinner's, they sell um, the Autumn Brilliance serviceberry, which is that's Emelancier grandiflora. And what it is, it's a hybrid of our native downy serviceberry and then another serviceberry that is native to the region just east of us. So its natural range makes it into like western Missouri, but it's technically not native to eastern Kansas, at least not on the current range maps that are out there. Probably with the warming climate now that, it's starting to get into our region. But anyway, the point is, um, since I couldn't find that the true native in the size that I wanted, um, thinking about getting this Autumn Brilliance from Skinner's. It's a real, if you've ever seen it, it's a beautiful plant. Uh, it's hybridized because so the arborea gives it that more upright tree form, and then the other serviceberry, as name escapes me, that it's crossed with, gives it that kind of showier uh, blooms, and then gives it the really gorgeous fall color. And
Kevin,
yeah,
I just put one of those in. We planted one this fall from Skinner's, and it's
oh,
a
the
gorgeous, gorgeous
Autumn
tree.
Brilliance.
Yes, Autumn Brilliance.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Gorgeous tree. That's a big
Right.
plant.
They are. It's well, and that's the reason why we chose that serviceberry as the kind of the focal point of the garden is because it's a plant that's got great multi-seasonal interest. It gets real pretty flowers real early in the spring. Then it puts on the purple berries that are attractive to wildlife, and then in fall it gets that gorgeous uh
Mm.
I mean, that's where it gets its name, Autumn Brilliance, because I mean it really is brilliant in the fall. And so um and he's got them and some really good sized plants that we could get. um and even though it I mean, always in the past, we tried to stick to just the true native plants. But in this particular instance, I think we could make an exception. And then also, I think it's like an educational tool too for people that are wanting to plant native, and then they start looking around for a particular plant and nobody has it. Well,
Mm.
here's one that it's not the true native, but it's as close as you're going to get to the true native if you want to get a plant that's already got some size to it. So I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to run that by you guys and see what you thought about getting one of those autumn brilliants. If nobody objects to the idea, we'll work with Cameron to make sure we get a big one reserved. And who knows, he may even be willing to give us a little price break or donate to a worthy cause. That would be awesome. Yeah.
I wonder what does Mick think on this? Do you have any ideas on this plant?
I'm not a purist when it comes to native plants. I have some cultivars in my garden. You will find some native plant people are out there that are like, oh, you have to plant this, you have to plant this. That's not me. Um,
Okay.
so many of the cultivars are still beneficial to the native birds, native pollinators. Um, but what I like, even though it may not happen in my garden, is a lot of the cultivars are just better behaved. They're
Right.
smaller, they're more compact, they're not as aggressive. I've had some sunflowers particularly in my garden that just want to take over. And I had stuff I planted 10 years ago that after 3 years I eradicated from my garden. Otherwise it would have become a monoculture. So I knew it'd take a few years to come into balance. I thought historically you guys had done a really good job of controlling the more aggressive plants over at the governor's mansion garden. Sometimes the sunflowers can get out of hand, or you had a little bit of shade there that helped, especially on the west side.
Mhm.
That kind of keeps the more aggressive things in check. Um, so I had reviewed Kevin's plant list that he put together last fall, and I thought it was a really good balance, and I think if we have to go with a couple cultivars here or there, I'm not going to have any problem with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Kevin, I have a question. I'm just curious, when you say good size, what are you think? Are you thinking like a 3 gallon or a 5 gallon size or whatever? I'm curious what Marta put in her uh
Yeah, it was a 5 gallon. It was a good sized specimen. So
okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
um, not
And
Well,
not
and
what's the
particularly
final
cheap.
height of the serviceberry? Because it is a tree, correct? I have a
Right.
serviceberry
It
and
is. It's a
okay.
tree, very nice tree form. Yeah.
Okay, so 30 feet at maturity then probably.
Um,
yeah, more
um,
like 20.
20, I
Okay.
think more like 20 max.
I looked
Yeah.
it up and it says matures to 15 to 20 feet tall.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
The
Right. So for us, we're probably looking at more like like the, you know, 15-foot height, I would guess. But I mean, even if it gets to 20 foot, uh, I mean, that still fits comfortably within the footprint of our garden. Like Barb was saying, from when we initially laid out where the perimeter of the garden was going to be, well, that's moved a little bit because the original sidewalk that we planned to put in there was only, I think, 3.5, 4 foot wide. And it ended up that they wanted, so what we did was, uh, uh, well, I'm not going to pull up a picture, but if you go over there and look at the site, you can see the front of the garden is an existing sidewalk, this curving sidewalk. And then there's sidewalks that meet that, one that's coming out the side door of Dole Hall, and then one that comes around from the front of the building that meet that other sidewalk at an angle. So what we did is uh, we we just extended those sidewalks out. So instead of it looking like, it's just something that was added on, it actually the sidewalk actually just flows around there in this arc, and which is kind of interesting because one of those sidewalks was a little bit wider than the other one. So our walkway is wider on one side than it is on the other. But, unless you're somebody like me or Ed or Lane, right, you'd never notice it. But point is, we had to make the sidewalk wider to fit that design, so now the footprint of the garden is going to be a bit uh, larger than it was originally. So yeah,
Well, Kevin, I have a question too. What
yeah.
happens with what is the span of the tree? How much room does it take up? And where are you going to plant it? And will you be planting uh, garden, other things underneath it? I, I just wonder how much room it's going to take up in the garden.
Yeah, so they'll well, Judy, what does it say on the where you
That's
looked
what
up the
that's what I'm looking to see uh, uh, what the span is.
Because typically you don't plant underneath the trees, do you?
Oh no, we'll be planting underneath of it. Um so but those will be like more kind of there'll be like some ground cover type plants under
Mhm.
there and then
It says 15 to 25. This is just in general, 15 to 25 tall and 5 to 10 feet wide.
yeah.
Oh,
Um
that's not too bad.
yeah. And let's see.
Not very big, right?
And it's deer resistant.
Yeah, let me just pull up this bear with me here. Switching this over to so people can see that haven't actually been to the site. Okay, where are you? Well, why am I not seeing that? I'm trying to pull up a picture of what the garden actually looks like. What the heck happened to that? I just opened it. Okay. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay, there it is. So there you go. That's so can you see that picture, guys?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so down here at the bottom, that's the west side of Dole Hall. And then so this curving sidewalk, that's the front of the garden. And then you can see that so the sidewalk arcs through the middle there. So it it divides it into three different beds. And so this kind of football shape here, that's the garden. And so the service berry is going to go right in the center of this biggest bed here, right in the middle. Okay. I can't
Okay.
who was asking about that? Yeah, so that's where it will go. And then there's going to be like some ground cover type plants planted underneath there. I would have to refer to the layout that we worked on. Well, I mean, I guess I can pull that up and show that to you guys. I have to open Chrome here. But anyway, I think there's like some native sedges and then some small little um, you know, shade tolerant wildflowers like some phlox and, well, I don't know. I like I said, I'd have to refer to the the layout that we put together. So maybe I can pull that up here in a little bit.
Can you send us those at some point? I mean, if you have a plan, obviously there's a plan already with what you're going to plant there.
Yeah. So hang on, let me go back to Zoom here. So who would, sorry, who was just asking me that, Jolene?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll send that stuff to you. And the rest of these guys should have already gotten it. Well, except for people that are new to the committee. I'll just go ahead and I'll send this aerial shot of the garden layout and then the plan with
Yeah, you gave us at one of those first meetings, you gave us a proposed design for the garden. And then you also added the plant key for the native plant garden. And you
yeah.
have a list of the plants that you thought would, I have that.
Okay. Well, and I'll resend the latest one that I have just to make sure everybody's got the current stuff.
So does the latest one have the sidewalk plotted on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah. Any other questions before I move on here? Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to have like once it's all planted, we're going to have like close to 40 different species of plants in there. But yeah, so that serviceberry, some of the other, like we got some native shrubs we want to plant in there, like golden currant and our native hydrangea and oh, I don't know, can't remember what else. And then like some couple of false blue indigo, but those are plants that we want to go ahead and at least get like maybe a gallon size pot. So we're not just starting with some tiny little, thing, because those will be some kind of foundational plants that'll, to help define the space. And, we want to get them going and so where they got some size to them. And I mean, actually, even the stuff that we're growing from seed, I think is going to grow pretty quick. And then of course we have the plants that we rescued from the other garden that are already mature size that we'll be able to get in there. And so we'll have to watch. I don't know. Mick, I was thinking about getting a hold of Patty Ragsdale and talking to her about some of these bigger plants we want to get. And because my goal is to try and get, plants that are as close to our local ecotype as I can. And I think she's probably the closest, her and then the nursery over in Vinland.
Yeah, she would be good to talk to because she'll probably give you a price break as well.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was hoping. Okay, so, and if there's stuff we can't get from her, I mean, there'll be, they always have that big plant sale over at the Gorman Conservation Center in Kansas City. And those are mainly vendors from right around the Kansas City area, or Dick Arboretum. They have their big plant sale in April. So, but that's what I would like to, whatever plants we need to purchase to add to the garden is to get them in April so we can, the idea is to try and get this stuff planted in there as early as we can after our final frost date to help it get established before, the hot weather gets here. And then we're gonna have to give those plants some TLC to help them get established this year, and at least this year and next year. So we'll have to work out a little schedule for getting over there and watering the plants. That's one other thing that's really nice about that site is we've got access to a water spigot right there on the west side of the building. So the water is real handy. Um, and so that's kind of gives you an idea of all the chores we got ahead of us here. So, I'm once once it looks like that ground is starting to dry out over there, I'll be getting the word out to you guys to see when we can get a crew over there to start getting to work on the ground. But obviously, it's going to be a couple weeks at least because it's going to take this snow a while to melt off. And then, as wet as it's going to be, I'm saying it's going to be we'll need like another good week or so of dry weather before we can get in there to do any work. Like, man, the other day when I went over there to cover that second pile of soil with a tarp to keep it dry, we had gotten some rain like several days before, but not a lot of rain, just enough to get the ground out. Oh my God, it was such a mud hole over there. I had like 2 inches of mud caked on my shoes trying to put that tarp in there. So definitely we want to make sure it's nice and dry before we try and get in there to do anything. But then I wanted to ask you guys about as far as work days in the garden. I mean, I don't know that we need to try and set up specific dates or what? Go ahead.
That was your feedback. That was,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry. I thought you said something. Yeah. So I don't know that we need to like set up any, specific dates or times. I mean, if some of you, if people want to let me know, like days of the weeks and times that work best for them, you can go ahead and do that, and then that might help me plan a little bit. But I kind of think, particularly with what we have to do starting out here, is the timing. The weather is going to dictate the timing of when we get in there to do stuff, and we're just going to have to, like I said, as soon as the ground gets dry, I'll let people know, and then we'll have to figure out, how soon we can get a crew together to get in there and actually get to work. Um, so So if you guys are good with that, we won't like try and set any specific dates right now. I mean, maybe once we get stuff planted in there, for sure we'll need to work out like a watering schedule and, stuff like that. And then by that time, we should have a better idea of like uh, people's availability on the committee and times that work best for them.
Sounds good, Kevin. I do some substituting. So if I know that I should not take a job on a Thursday afternoon, I could do that.
Right. Yeah.
So if there's watering, I mean, I think the watering one, I could help with that because that's pretty close. And I could, just run over and do that. And I think, if it needs to be twice a week or whatever. So yeah, let's keep track of that.
All right. And then likewise with monthly meetings, I mean, like last year, we actually designated, you know, a regular date and time for our monthly meetings. But I'm thinking this year, at least initially starting out, we don't really need to spend time doing that either um, we're, because we're actually going to be over at the garden quite a bit doing stuff. So we don't like just have to set up meetings because we'll be meeting and working together at the garden um, or at the greenhouse, here before we're actually able to get to work at the garden. So what do you guys think?
But I think if it's not everybody all together, then some people will miss out on information and blah, blah, blah. So if you're meeting, yeah, so if some people are going to be at the greenhouse and it's only three, and then some other people are going to be at the garden and it's only four.
Yeah.
So I still think we should have some sort of, oh, we're at the garden 2 days this week, and I don't know, you could send out an email and give a little heads up. I don't know. I just
Okay.
think
Well, last year we designated what I think it was like the second or third Thursday of the month as our regular meeting date. We bumped it up for this month because because uh, I wanted to get you guys together before it got too late into the month. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you want to just kind of stick with what we were doing last year, I'm good with that.
sure.
This is Barb. I would say any Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for me. I prefer mornings, but I know that there should be afternoons also.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
prefer early morning also, and I can't work, I can't do Mondays, so, yeah. But any other time I could probably, work it out,
Yeah.
because I don't live that far away.
Well, and that's what I think for the most part, we'll we'll plan on working mornings over there, especially once we get into the warmer weather. But yeah, and then uh, I mean, I'm pretty flexible. I mean, like some people, they're really only free on the weekends because they're working or whatever. But so yeah, that's good to know. Okay. Um,
Hi, Kevin, this is Marta. And I
yeah,
think I saw a note there from Carrie. And I would second this. I I would prefer that we have, at least a good amount of notice prior to meetings. You know, not just like, oh, we're meeting tomorrow, that kind of thing. So that's my only
right.
input on that. And the question I have, are we still planning to meet on the 22nd of this month as originally planned, or did I have that right?
Are you getting that mixed up with uh, the, the, there's
Lawn and garden show,
yeah, the Lawn and Garden Show has a meeting on, I think it's the 22nd.
22nd.
That's the
No,
lawn.
this was from, I think, an original email from Kevin, perhaps, and I
Yeah,
just
so
noted
that
that.
would, yeah, no, we're
Not
not,
going to. Okay, just checking.
yeah, no, so see, that would have been our regularly scheduled monthly meeting, right? So that's like the third Thursday of the month, I think. That sound
Yes.
right? Yeah. So that's when last year, that's what we designated as our regular monthly meeting date and time. So, we'll just go ahead and keep that. And then if we need to have a meeting of the whole committee then we'll meet at that date on 10 o'clock. And, if we don't, we'll just skip it and plan on meeting over at the garden.
So Kevin, did I hear you correctly that it's the third Thursday of the month?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure I could physically hear what you said earlier.
Yeah. And
Okay, I need to go. It's 11 o'clock. So I'm going to sign out. And it was great talking to everybody, and stay safe.
all
You too.
right. Take care, Diana. Good to see you.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and yeah, definitely I will do my best to give you guys as much notice as I can on stuff because I know like for a lot of you, you know, just a couple days is, you know, you, like Carrie, Diana is another example of people that their schedule is pretty fills up pretty quick, and so they need like maybe a week notice would be helpful. So I'll give it my best
One more
shot.
question. One more question, Kevin. This third Thursday of the month, was that a morning or an afternoon?
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the morning is when
10
we
o'clock.
traditionally have met.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's not set in stone, but I was just making myself some notes.
right. So for February, that would be would be the 20th. Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Here, you know what? So traditionally, it was on a Wednesday. Oh, that's right. It was the third Wednesday of the month. And because we moved it to Thursday because I had a conflict yesterday, was that committee chairs meeting that didn't happen. But yeah, that's why we're meeting on Thursday. So that's what the traditional meeting date and time is, the third Wednesday at 10. Okay.
So do you want to go with that or do you want to change it to Thursday?
Um, I'm good with Wednesday if you guys are.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I
No,
just need to
that's
get
good
it.
with me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that seemed to work pretty good last year too. And I think we picked that morning too because then it didn't conflict with other meetings that people had. So, all right. Well, so do you guys have any additional questions for me or
I had a question on signage. You had a note in here to
oh,
install.
oh, thank you. Okay, thank you.
And I
So
didn't know if is it just going to be the same sign that was over at the other garden, or are we gonna look at putting in additional signage like history of tallgrass prairie or importance of pollinators or what is a native plant?
well, I'm glad you asked that, Mick, because that's what I wanted to talk about. So number one, our since we're now that we're partnering with Washburn, our new sign for the garden, we're going to have to coordinate with the marketing people over at Washburn. So that's what Lane is supposed to be getting our K-State marketing folks and Washburn folks together to agree on what they're going to require us to have on our sign as far as the branding part of it. And but other than that, the sign will be pretty much the same as the sign on the old garden for just the name of the garden. And then we have our sign that we were using for our QR code stuff. And so that's something I've been talking to Lane about, because the way that we were doing it is we had these interchangeable signage that were like these little magnets that we put up there so you could change, kind of feature different plants throughout the growing season. But, you know, well, for several reasons, that didn't really work out that great. Plus, the other thing is those smaller little signs we had on there. A problem with them is that the QR codes are so close together that it's kind of hard to scan them. And so, what, um, and we're gonna probably, I'm sure we'll talk about this in PR too, later in the year. But what I think would be better is we can use Canva to create a map of the garden that has a key to it of the different plants that are in there, so people can just scan that and then look at that map to identify the plants that are growing there. And then that key will then link them to, um, a web page that tells them more detail about the individual plant. But I think that that is going to be more practical than the way that we were doing it. So anyway, we need to put some thought into what we want to do with that sign. And then, of course, we have our Monarch Waste Station sign that we'll put back. So then we'll have to, I think we'll need to contact Monarch Watch, because that was the sign for our old location. Now we're at a new location and it's a completely different garden. So I think we kind of need to um, reapply for our waste station status before we put that signage back up. And then, yeah, I think we should think about, I mean, there's a number of places, like I think, doesn't Grassland Heritage Foundation has some signage that you can just get for a nominal fee that, talks about growing native plants or about, our native ecosystem and so on. But yeah, I think for educational purposes, maybe some signage like that might be good. I mean, what are your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I think that should definitely go in over there if we have room and have budget. I didn't know Grassland Heritage Foundation had default signage like that, so it would save us from having to sit down and create it and have it printed.
Yeah, I don't know if Monarch Watch does too. Anyway, I know there's several conservation groups that have, signage like that that you can get.
Yeah,
Uh,
and Xerxes Society would be another one that might have signage like that.
yeah, uh-huh. So yeah, man, I mean, I think that's somewhere we can do a little research and then see what we find that we like. And, I mean, if we can find some signage like that that we don't have to create ourselves, um, then that would save us some work, and it's probably going to be cheaper than getting our own signs printed up. But then again, I mean, I'm not averse to making signs of our own and that we can, put our own brand on. So, I mean, that's something that we should put some thought into. But I'm, I would be agreeable to that. I mean, like some other people have said when we first started the meeting, one thing I really like about this site is I think it's going to give us a lot more educational opportunities, because we're going to get more foot traffic over there on campus, and we'll be, doing some work with the folks in the biology department, where they can actually come over and use our garden to do some plant identification and, maybe do a little education about, the tall grass ecosystem and stuff. So yeah, that's a topic that we need to have some further discussion on, maybe do a little more research to see what is already out there that we might think would be appropriate for our garden, and then probably get that into next year's budget. All right. Well, I don't want to run this meeting too much longer, but we covered a lot of ground today. So if anybody has any additional questions, um, let me know.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes.
just to clarify, do we have a meeting scheduled for February 19? Is that on the schedule, or should we count on that?
Yeah, let's go ahead and schedule it. Yeah, I'll go ahead and probably what I'll do is reserve a room over at the office, and we can meet over there, weather permitting, because I'd love to uh, for you guys to be able to go, like, take a little trek up to the greenhouse to see what's going on with our young plants in there, and yeah. So yeah, let's plan on having a meeting that day, and like Diana said, that way we can get everybody together. And I mean, it's possible we may still be able to get in there and do some work in February, but that's probably just going to be part of the committee, not all of us over there. So yeah, let's plan on that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you everybody that made it to the meeting today, and I made a recording of this, so hopefully, and just in case people that didn't make it today want to, see what they missed out on. And like I said, as soon as the ground's dry over there, I'll let everybody know, and we'll see what kind of mischief we can get into over Washburn.
Hey, Kevin,
Kevin.
Yeah.
I just said thank you, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
Kevin, this is Barb. I've got quite a bit of cardboard. We bought a couple of rocker recliners and we saved the boxes for that. So that'll be a good start for you.
Oh, great, great. I know Mick's been saving cardboard. I have for you people that know me fairly well, I'm I'm kind of an Amazon Prime junkie, and so I have a freaking mountain of cardboard out in my garage I've been saving. And actually, facilities at Washburn said if we wanted them to save some cardboard for us, that they could do that as well. So, all right.
Got that covered.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yes.
Bye,
All right,
Kevin.
we'll be talking again here pretty soon.
Kevin,
All right.
Okay,
this is
bye.
Sharon. Kevin,
Bye, everybody.
this is Sharon. Can you stay on for a few minutes after everybody leaves?
Of course, I could stay on for a few
Okay,
minutes for you, Sharon number 2.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk
Bye.
again soon.
Bye.
All right. What do you got there?
Well, this was in my Chex Party mix.
Oh my gosh. That's one of Sharon's pills.
Well, okay. You want it back?
Oh yeah, sure. I'll get it from you sometime.
Well, yeah, okay. I just thought I'd let you know it was I thought, what
Oh
would
my
this
gosh. I can't
be? You,
believe that. How in the world did that
I
get in
don't know.
there?
It was the weirdest thing. I poured it out of a little sack into a little bowl. I thought, what is that? Well, it's I just saved it for you.
Yeah, well, anyway. But the good thing is it's not anything that would have hurt you.
Well, I didn't eat it, so there you go. Okay, that's
Oh
all.
my gosh. Now, you know what? It's like, because Sharon, she spills her pills all the time. And I'm
Oh,
thinking
okay.
of, because of her tremors and stuff. She
Right,
fill
right.
up her pill minder and then she drops them. And then, so God,
Who knows?
gosh.
I thought you'd get a chuckle out of that.
Oh, that's
I also
crazy.
have cardboard. I've been doing some purging. And I have these really large boxes that I can break down. And I was just going to recycle them, but I have some cardboard too. Not like a recliner or anything size, but they would be really big pieces if you, because I know one time you said you wanted bigger pieces. So
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean,
but with
any
that size of
size
that
is good.
garden, it's kind of an odd with that sidewalk in there. It's kind of an odd shape, but
Yeah, right. So like along that curved edge, some
yeah,
smaller uh
on the left
size
and the right.
cardboard would work good along there to
Yeah,
help fill in that curve. Yeah, so I've just
yeah.
been saving all, unless it's like just a little tiny box,
Dainty
it's like,
box. Yeah.
whatever. I've been saving everything.
Okay.
My gosh.
I haven't done anything with it. It's just as I empty boxes, I just kind of pile them up.
Oh,
Bill's
here.
like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm purging Canva."